Maharaj Ji, you previously guided me to practice Naam Jap, chanting God's name, and I tried my best. But whenever I attempt to study or focus, my mind gets overwhelmed with anxiety. I've been preparing in Kota for 2 years now. This is my 3rd year, and I keep thinking, what if I fail again? What will happen to my life? Maharaj Ji, where does tension come from? It enters an empty mind that lacks spiritual grounding. Look at what is happening today. Out of sheer fear of failing an exam, young students commit extreme acts and end their lives. Is an exam the sum total of human existence? If you don't clear one test, or if you don't get a specific degree, does that mean your life is over? Absolutely not. When exam pressure strikes, students often abandon their spiritual practice, Naam Jap, but that is precisely when you need it most. Study with dedication, discipline your lifestyle, maintain moral purity, Brahmacharya, and remember God. When a student maintains inner purity and chants God's name, their memory power, smriti, becomes like a sharp recorder. Whatever they read stays locked in their mind. Why be terrified of an examination? If you made mistakes and failed, accept it with grace. Work harder next time. Try again with double the courage. Remember who you are. You are a child of the divine. You were not born to be defeated. Never allow the thought to enter your mind that failing a test means the end of your world. God is an ocean of infinite wisdom. When you align yourself with Him, endless paths open up. If academics don't work out, start a small business or take up a job. God can elevate a person from the humblest beginnings to the highest peaks. He can turn a mosquito into a king or a fool into a scholar in a single second. Place your faith in Him and adopt this mindset. Lord, I am doing my duty and chanting your name. If it pleases you, grant me success. Wherever you place me, I accept it with joy. I am yours and I trust your plan. And when you hand over your worries to God, fear dissolves into inner peace. To help you understand how God protects and uplifts those who trust Him, let me share a profound story from our scriptures, the story of Prince Chandrahas. In the kingdom of Kerala, there lived a righteous king named Dharmatma. He had a newborn son named Chandrahas. Shortly after the prince was born, 4 or 5 enemy kings launched a sudden, unprovoked invasion. King Dharmatma was killed in battle, and the palace fell into chaos. Knowing the enemy would spare no one in the royal bloodline, the queen pleaded with her loyal maidservant, "Take my baby son and run, save his life." The maid was brilliant and resourceful. She placed infant Chandrahas at the very bottom of a large trash basket, covered him with discarded leaf plates, dona patal, and carried the basket right past the enemy guards. The guards saw an old maid carrying trash and let her pass. She escaped to a neighboring kingdom ruled by a powerful minister named Drishtabudi. She did not reveal that the child was a prince. She simply said, "I am a skilled servant. This is my son, and our village was destroyed. Please give us shelter." Impressed by her skills, the minister took them in. Years passed, and young Chandrahas grew up in the minister's household. One day, Minister Drishtabudi hosted a grand festival attended by learned scholars. As the scholars examined the palm lines of the minister's young daughter, Vishaya, they noticed Chandrahas playing nearby. Looking closely at the boy's divine traits, the scholars announced, "This boy is destined to become the husband of your daughter." Drishtabudi was infuriated. "My daughter marry a servant's child? Never." And that very night, he secretly hired 4 executioners, Jalads, and ordered them, "Take this boy into the deep forest and eliminate him." But now, unknown to anyone, the divine sage Devarshi Narada had previously met young Chandrahas and given him a sacred shaligram stone, instructing him, "Always keep this close, drink its holy water, and continuously chant Krishna, Krishna." When the executioners brought Chandrahas into the dark forest, the innocent boy asked, "Why have you brought me here?" They replied, "It is the minister's order to kill you." Chandrahas calmly replied, "If it is his command, do what you must." Seeing his sublime innocence and hearing him chant Krishna, Krishna, the executioners' hearts melted. They couldn't bring themselves to murder him. To prove to the minister that the job was done, they merely sliced off his extra 6th toe to present as evidence and begged him to run away and hide bleeding from his foot. Chandrahas fainted in the forest, still chanting God's name. At that moment, a mythical, highly auspicious creature known as the Huma bird flew down from the mountains. It spread its magnificent wings over Chandrahas, shading him from the harsh sun and protecting him from wild beasts. It so happened that the childless king of Chandanvati was passing through the forest. When he saw the divine Huma bird sheltering an exquisite radiant boy, he recognized it as a miraculous sign from God. He picked up the unconscious child, bandaged his foot, brought him home, and declared him the royal prince and heir to the throne of Chandanvati. 10 years passed. Chandrahas grew into a noble, brave, and deeply pious young prince. Eventually, Minister Drishtabudi invaded Chandanvati over unpaid tributes, but when he met the young prince, he recognized his unique eyes. This is the same boy I ordered to be killed 10 years ago. Determined to finish him off once and for all, Drishtabudi feigned friendship. He handed Chandrahas a sealed letter addressed to his son back in the capital city, saying, "Take this letter to my son immediately. It contains urgent instructions." Inside the sealed letter, Drishtabudi had written a deadly command to his son. "The moment this bearer arrives, give him Visha, poison, immediately. Do not delay." Chandrahas tucked the letter into his crown and rode toward the capital. Exhausted from the journey, he paused to rest in a royal garden just outside the city walls. It was the very garden where Drishtabudi's daughter Vishaya was walking with her maidens. Seeing a breathtakingly handsome young man sleeping beneath a tree, Vishaya stepped closer. She noticed the letter tucked into his turban and gently pulled it out. When she read her father's handwriting, her heart sank. "Give him Visha, poison, immediately." As she thought, my father's intellect must have been clouded. How could anyone give poison to such a noble prince? Being a clever young woman, she took a blade of grass, dipped it into the coal, kajal in her eyes, and added just one letter, Yamatya, turning the word Visha, poison, into Vishaya, her own name. Now the letter read, "The moment this bearer arrives, give him Vishaya, my daughter, in marriage, immediately." She tucked the letter back into his crown and quietly left. When Chandrahas awoke and delivered the letter to Drishtabudi's son, the son read it, called the royal priests, and conducted a grand wedding between Chandrahas and Vishaya that very day. A few days later, Drishtabudi returned to the city expecting to find Chandrahas dead. Instead, the entire capital was celebrating his marriage to Vishaya. Consumed by rage, Drishtabudi hatched one last desperate plot. He stationed 4 armed assassins inside the dark temple of goddess Kali and told Chandrahas, "It is our family tradition that a newlywed groom must go alone at night to offer prayers at the temple." Chandrahas, completely fearless and devoted to God, agreed and walked toward the temple. Meanwhile, royal astrologers warned the emperor that an extremely dangerous planetary alignment was occurring. They advised, to prevent total ruin, you must temporarily step down and crown a virtuous young leader as temporary king right this second. Drishtabudi's son suggested, "My new brother-in-law, Chandrahas, is the most radiant and righteous person in the land." The emperor agreed and sent Drishtabudi's son to fetch Chandrahas immediately. The son ran to the temple, met Chandrahas at the entrance, and said, "The emperor is calling you to court right now. Go quickly, I will complete the temple prayers on your behalf." Drishtabudi's son stepped into the pitch-black temple, and the waiting executioners, thinking he was Chandrahas, struck him down. Meanwhile, Chandrahas reached the court and was crowned king. When Drishtabudi arrived at the palace, expecting to see his enemy dead, he found Chandrahas sitting on the throne and realized his own evil scheme had killed his own son. Whomever God protects, no one can destroy. Every weapon formed against Chandrahas turned into a blessing because he was anchored in the divine. So, my dear children, never lose heart. Never entertain thoughts of ending your life over a temporary setback, an exam result, or a personal failure. Life is a continuous struggle. That is its true nature. Winning and losing are part of the game. Destroying your precious human body out of fear or embarrassment is the ultimate mistake. Use this human birth to work hard, practice righteousness, dharma, serve your nation and society, and keep God in your heart. Stay joyful, trust the divine journey, and keep moving forward.